tapped in to Viral Volley Podcast. Now here's your host, Rob the Sparrow, or the Rob on the mic.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to, I was about to say College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20, but it easily could be, but we shift in the summer because there is no NCAA beach or men's volleyball going on. So it goes to a Viral Volley Podcast, and with me is someone I've actually known for the last 5-6 years now. It's Alaina Chacon of Florida State, Crown Point, Indiana, but finding her home in the, we'll say, the Florida area. And been doing some great things. But Alaina, so good to finally have. Well, actually, I had you on with an old friend of yours early on, Madison Fitzpatrick, or Mads Fitzpatrick. So,
Yes, also, I feel like I need to correct you because I think it's been almost 8 years since you've known me, since I've been at Florida State.
oh my gosh, old guy.
Crazy.
That's right.
I'm gonna date myself here.
Well, I mean, you've had such great results. How do we not follow your career? I mean, Florida State, a powerhouse at the get-go. Your former coach, Brooke, Niles, just nabbing her 300th win this last season. So you know her, and always got to give Nick a shout out because behind every great woman is a great man.
Of course, yeah, they're the best. They've been amazing and so instrumental to my career. So I love that you give them a shout out. Absolutely.
Well, with that, let's jump into your playing career. How did you get started playing volleyball, and how did it all come about for jumping in full steam?
Well, my mom actually put us in every sport under the sun, honestly. But once we touched a volleyball, we kind of stuck with it. We quit everything else. I think we were doing gymnastics and competitive cheerleading at the time. And yeah, I was right around the middle school age, and I wanted to do something with my friends. So that was kind of the first thing I picked up was volleyball. And then we got one volleyball, and I was teaching my sisters in the yard just so I could practice for tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I made the team. Luckily, I was athletic enough to just get by. I had some hand-eye coordination, so that was great. And yeah, I found a little flyer on the bleachers for club volleyball. And that's when things got a little more serious. So we dropped everything else, and that's when we all started club volleyball and got really into it. And we loved it because we actually had a really great group of our friends that were really competitive and really high level eventually, obviously. But we all just like loved hanging out. And that's really like how our volleyball career started, was just playing with our friends, playing with each other, as in our sisters. And we just loved it. We loved how social it was, while also like how competitive it could be.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, it's an indoor club that you're referring to, but you have two other sisters, which we'll definitely discuss because it's such a great family. But did they start the same time you did, or did they let you jump in head first and follow along progressively?
No, we all started at the same time. They didn't do, obviously, they weren't in like middle school. While I was in middle school, they were just a year or two younger than 2 years younger than me. But we all started club around the same time. So I feel like we all jumped in at the same time. We grew up playing the same sports, and my mom, she's a single mom. And so whatever one of us was doing, which was mostly me because I was kind of like leading the charge growing up, whatever I was doing, the girls were following. And we just lucked out that volleyball was kind of our niche, and ended up being a talent of all three of us. So that was amazing.
You did your mom a huge favor because it meant she's only driving to one place for practices, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Brandy's a good driver then, I take it. She's kept you all alive going to all those practices
Yeah,
with
she'll curl her hair, she'll do her mascara while she's driving. But also, I might be the first person having a glass of wine on Rob's podcast, but here we go.
We'll make it a tradition. As long as it's not a first in the morning type thing.
Oh no, it's the evening, everybody.
Um, well, so moving on with club, you had a chance to actually play with Morgan, the next youngest sister in the family, and were able to play for the first time ever state championship in Indiana. But in accomplishing that, what were some of your favorite memories playing in high school with Morgan?
I mean, it was always like a dream of ours to accomplish getting to the state championship because our school had never been there before. And
Hmm.
I don't know that we really thought that that was our dream initially we just wanted to be on a really competitive team. So we actually moved high schools to be on a more competitive team, which is technically illegal, but we made it not illegal by buying a house in Crown Point, I guess. But yeah, so we moved from Highland, Indiana to Crown Point, Indiana, where there was a very competitive setter at the time. She played at ETSU. And then our friend group, like I said, who we kind of grew up with playing volleyball with in club, most of them went to Crown Point, whether they were my age or Morgan's age. So all of us kind of united, because I think at that time, and I don't know if this is still a current thing, but you can only have 2 or 3 players on the club team from the same high school. But luckily we are like solid 3 from my team, and then her solid 3 from her team. So we kind of came together as like this big conglomerate for our high school team, and just loved hanging out, loved being with each other. We're still best friends to this day. And it was just amazing to get to that point, from just starting club all together to getting to that state championship together. We ended up losing, but I mean, to a private school that could recruit. So
yeah, they bend the rules a little bit. Well, I mean, to be able to have your club teammates and your sister, which I mean, from what I gather and what I know of you, pretty tight relationship, not only with her, but with Savannah and the entire family. So it just seems like a natural fit for you guys to play together and play well.
Yeah. Sav was on JV. We just had such a stacked group within our age groups, like I said, and she was always just like looking up and being like, oh, I want to follow in their footsteps. And she got pulled up for one varsity game, but that meant that I had to come out of the game. So whatever. We were never on the court at the same time, but I got to cheer her on when she did go into the varsity game. So that was cool.
Now, were you an outsider? I thought I saw a picture of you with a Libero jersey on, but maybe it was years and years ago.
No, I was an outside. I was an outside for club and for high school, but I think there were a couple of games that I was nursing a shoulder injury. What's new? So I had to play libero for libero, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not my forte. I loved hitting. That's why I'm a beach player.
Well, which brings us to your next stage of life. You ended up going to Florida State, but were you an indoor commit first?
No.
Okay. I thought I read somewhere that I'm like, wow, because I saw you were playing indoors, and usually that's the first season they got you to come, but you ended up playing for Brooke as a beach commit then, correct?
Yes. I think that's where the beach volleyball or BVB info got us mixed up, because Morgan is me on BVB. And so maybe that's what the bio you read, because she was committed for indoor. We were both initially offered a scholarship from Long Beach, which is hilarious because Morgan and Savannah both ended up going to Long Beach, but I never did. I ended up going to another camp after I verbally committed to Long Beach, where Brooke saw me. I think it was Hector, actually, from TCU. And then Brooks came out and saw me for the tournament part. He was there for the clinic part, and she saw me for the tournament part, and invited me to come to Florida State. And so I went over to Florida State, saw the facilities, saw the history of the school, and just the culture. I just fell in love with it. And obviously, Brooke and Nick are very easy to love. So yeah, it was just a perfect fit for me, and I got more money there, and it was just a no-brainer, honestly.
Now, so that initial connection was through this camp that Brooke was at, and there's a tournament that followed it.
Yeah, it was one of those college recruitment camps where like each coach had a court, and you got to do the drills from each court. And I switched from like an LMU like serving drill to like a fiery Brazilian defensive drill from Hector, and I was like, oh, I like this. This is quick. This is fast, which is perfect. That's like the style of training I love. And then Hector really liked like my endurance and just like my mentality throughout the drill. And he was like, I need you to come like talk to me after the camp. And I was like, okay, whatever. But then, yeah, Brooke came out to see me the next day, and then she invited me to come see the school. So that was pretty cool.
Well, it's weird because you had success playing indoor at the high school and club, but you ended up committing a beach. Were you playing club beach ball as well?
We didn't have, so in India, I'm from Indiana. We didn't have any beach clubs that doesn't exist for us. Like we had our club, and then in the back of our club there were 2 little courts, and so all the guys, like guys as in men, like I was playing 40-year-old men, I would just go in and join and jump in. They had some open gyms every like Friday or Thursday night, and I would just go. And sometimes I would sneak it in before my actual club practice. And yeah, Morgan was the only one that could like keep up with me and stay with me. So he ended up being my like partner. So that's who I was actually at those camps and clinics with when I got recruited. So every time I got um, offered a scholarship, Morgan also got offered a scholarship.
At the same place, apparently, huh?
Yeah, every time.
Well, that's pretty amazing because I mean that means you had a very little beach experience before even going to one of the national powerhouse beach programs.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it was pretty intimidating, I would say, because all of the girls had committed since this is when you could commit when you were 14, and most of them had. And so I was a
Mhm.
junior going into my junior year and still not committed anywhere because I knew I didn't want to play indoor because I was getting recruited as a libero. And I
Mhm.
was like, I'm good at hitting. Like, come on, respect my swing. And also everybody on my club team was a D1 commit for the most part.
Mhm.
So it was tough because I was like, I'm the one being set majority of the time. I'm getting a lot of digs, making the plays on the serve. Like I was just kind of that like sleepy player that no one wanted to recruit because I was undersized. And so I was like, beach is my game. I can touch the ball every time. I can do every skill.
Mhm.
And trust me, I wasn't as confident as I am now, but I was just, I was just like, I'm more of just like an all-around player. I'm not that like one position, like I'm your three position outside. Like I'm not going to be that player. I'm your six rotation. I can do it
Mhm.
all type of player. So beach just like fit my style and fit my game. So that's where I ended up just leaning towards, and that's when they were offering scholarships. So I was like, even if I get 2 years, I'll be like happy because I know I can grow in this game, and like there's a profession in this sport after this game.
Mhm.
I didn't necessarily know that I wanted to play after, but I wanted to get to college and I wanted to earn a scholarship for volleyball. I knew I was capable of that. So that's kind of where I was like, I got to figure this out.
Well, when you have Brooke spotting talent like that, I mean, she definitely has an eye. And I mean, one thing I have recognized in the time of seeing you play, even early on, there's this incredible athleticism. And although it's like, I hear this undersized, but you got to look at how you play athletically. And there are players that are 5'9", 5'10" that are doing some amazing things on the court on the women's side.
In my head, I would say I'm like 6'1", but in real life, I'm definitely not.
So, with that, you head on over to Florida State and are pretty successful there. Looking at your career from years one to your final year, had winning percentages that are right there. They're, at least winning uh, two-thirds of your duels. I'm sorry, your matches, and Florida State being a powerhouse, that's says a lot with different partners as well.
I mean, I feel like Brooke's known for kind of switching up partnerships, so maybe that's to give her credit for that. Um, but yeah, I mean, she put us in the best positions. Like I started, like I said, I started off with having like no real training before I got to college. Like I was just playing in tournaments in the summer and just playing club volleyball. So I had no technical understanding. I didn't even know what like a line or angle block was when I got to college. So her to trust me was crazy, but I thank her for it all the time. Um, but yeah, she taught me so much. It was a huge learning curve when I first got there. I didn't play much my freshman year. I think I played like maybe six matches actually in the lineup. But
Hmm.
most of the time she had me at the sixes, which was a great spot for me to be at because it allowed me to like develop and play good teams without
Hmm.
hurting our wins or losses in the lineup. So that was
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, she definitely helped me like grow my understanding of the game and just to become an actual beach volleyball player.
Wow, so you were one of the OGs who actually went in with only indoor experience and that developed your entire collegiate
Yeah, I
career.
mean, I wouldn't say only indoor, but mostly only indoor because I did play some beach volleyball before.
Well, picnic ball doesn't count. If you're playing a bunch of 40-year-old guys, sometimes that doesn't count either.
Yeah. I mean, I did play some tournaments at North Avenue
Mhm.
in the summers when it was actually hot enough to play them, and I had like a lot of success playing them. But we were playing other girls that were also coming off of indoor season, so it was like I had a little
Mhm.
bit more understanding and could win those. So maybe that's what taught me how to win in beach volleyball. I don't know, but we had
Well,
fun times.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my favorite memories of you, and this is obviously before I got to really see you play as often as I do now, was your 2022 season.
Oh,
Um, I made a connection with Mads Fitzpatrick, and I do believe she got married just a couple days ago. So we need to say congratulations to
I
Madison.
Yeah, I had to miss it because of the league, which is probably my worst nightmare, honestly. Like I am so devastated and heartbroken I couldn't be there. I was living through all the pictures that were being sent to me, but it was so tough not being there. There was nothing I could do because we were booked that weekend for the league, and it was just unfortunate timing.
Well, we'll go back to that for sure, just because obviously I have a special heart for a mutual friend as well. But
Yes, me
um,
too.
that 2022 season, I know there's a lot of struggles that Mads is going with or struggling with personally, and moving in and out of the lineup, is particularly in 2021, the post-COVID year when everyone got going. But she ended up being paired with you in the 2022 season, and you guys were on fire as a pair.
Yeah, I mean, so I sat out that first year of my freshman year.
Hmm.
And then our sophomore year, when we came back, Madison and I were partners for the entire year. So we got to start, I think we started at the threes, which Brooke put us at the fours actually that year to start.
Hmm.
And Madison and I both walked into her office and we were like, you have to put us higher. Like, we know we can play at a higher level. And she was like, you guys are undersized. Like, she didn't actually tell us that, but I knew that was what her reason was. Like, you guys are such a good pulling team. That's usually better in like the lower seeds of the lineup. So I feel like that's why she started us there. But we're like, but we're winners. Like, come on, put us higher in the lineup. And
Hmm.
so we pretty much begged her to put us at the threes. And then by the end of that first weekend, we were already at the twos. And then at the end of that first season, our sophomore year, we were at the ones. So we were pretty stoked. Like, we were just like, give us anybody. We can take them.
Well, you
And then,
definitely trended upward. I mean, that you close out that 2022 season 33-9 together.
yeah, yeah.
And
And yeah, I mean, Madison's such a dream of a partner. She's just so positive, and just every day is just a joy to be with her. And she's always just bringing such light to practice. And we were just always having fun. And I feel like that's what Maddie and I are doing now. But that's like where that all started. We were just having a good time and just focusing on the grind of it and having fun in the grind of it, which is hard to do. I feel like when you're being tested consistently and put under such tough conditions. Like, Madison is such a person that you look over and she's just like smiling during the middle of the conditioning test because we have our last rep. Like, she was just a dream to be with.
yeah. Well, what I wanted to get to with that Gulf Shores tournament in 2022, Florida State ends up matching up in the semis against UCLA, and it's coming down to yours and Mad's court, if I remember correctly. I was trying to remember the order, but it didn't show on the box. But I just remember watching your match with Mads so intently, because Mads is one of the OG contributors to College Volleyball Weekly Beach Top 20. And
Oh
that's why
yeah.
I really started following Florida State, and wherever Mads was at, I was following that team or her partner too. So, and that was you. And watching that national championship semifinal and how drama filled that match was for that point to eventually advance the Knowles into the championship match against SC. Insane. Can you walk us through that match with Mads in that semi?
Actually, that was the only match we lost that year. So or not that year, but that week. So we went 6-1 that week, which is technically the winningest pair at national championships because it was double elimination. But yeah, we ended up losing that game to Devin and
And
Jaden,
Jaden, yeah,
14 in the third. Yeah, in the
who
third.
aren't
And
hacks, by the way, just if you guys don't know who they are.
oh, I mean, yeah, Devin's still winning medals at Elite 16. So like, it plays out for me. But yeah, we ended up losing that game, which was tough, obviously, because we only lost by 2 points, and I think I foot faulted like somewhere in the game. So yeah, some things still keep you up at night, I guess. But um, yeah, that was our only loss that week. It was tough, and then we had to go right back into the tent. We had a pretty strict like athletic trainer at the time that was just like, you have to eat. We might play the national championship. Like you have to eat. And I'm like, I can't eat. I can't eat. I'm watching our game and like we were in the first round. So the twos and the fours played first. We were the twos.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister played at the same exact time. So I could never watch her, which thank God I would think I would have thrown up. But she won her game and then I lost mine. And then we all rushed back to the tent to eat to prepare for the national championship. And we had to watch on the jumbo screen, like what was all going on. And Maddie and Brooke actually were the ones to end up closing it out in the third set. I think it was also like 15-13 or something crazy like that. But they beat, I think, Lexi Denneberg and Abby Van Winkle in the third, which helped us win the national or get to the national championship.
Advance, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, those are some pretty crazy names. And just so our viewers and listeners know, Alaina is referring to Brooke Bauer and current partner, which we'll talk about, Maddie Anderson. So
Yes.
and there's so many connections that I think people just don't see in the game. And that's why I love chatting with all of you because like I love connecting those people. Like, see, they all know each other. They've all seen each other for years and years.
Yep. Yep.
So, but with that, one of the most memorable things that I saw when you played the national championship match was your final match with Mads. It was one of those heart-touching, tear-jerking moments that I got caught with a lot of dust in the air. I'm like just knowing the struggles and, you guys winning that matchup. And were you playing, is it Sammy Slater and who'd you play in the twos that year?
And Megan Kraft.
Wow. Early years for sure.
Years, yeah. I mean, at that point, we just had our conference tournament the weekend before, and that we also went through the contenders bracket to win that. So I think we played something like 14 games in like 6 days or something insane like that. Like it was crazy. We were like beyond tired. But we obviously Madison would never talk about that. So I was never going to talk about that. But yeah, I think we were down in both sets, and then we ended up making a crazy comeback in the second, like down like 16 to like 11 maybe. And I don't know. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know that we made a crazy comeback in the second and it was awesome. And then kind of same thing in the third. It's blanking me and I feel like I have that match somewhere in my but yeah, we had like 3 match points. We ended up winning the game and like I just remember being so tired I could barely celebrate. And like looking back when I watched that match, I'm like, oh, we could have had such a cool celebration, but it was just like the game was the moment. Like the comeback was the moment, and it didn't have to be flashy. It was just like we did it, and somehow we like persevered and just like put our heads down and won that game. So that was just like really cool that we pulled it out. But we'll never forget that. We still talk about that, and sometimes we still send each other pictures from it. Like it was crazy.
Well, there's both you guys went to your knees and just hugged each other. And it was one of the most sentimental moments I think I've seen at the national championship because you guys let it all out and, you fought with 150% of yourselves. And then to get the victory was a huge culmination of all emotion.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that till we're dead. Literally.
Well, so that closed out your senior season. And in 2023, you moved in and actually became part of the coaching staff was it a graduate assistant or just a volunteer assistant at that point?
It was volunteer assistant, yeah.
And you weren't playing any professional events at that time because I looked at BVB info and there's kind of like a void of like competitions during that 2023 season.
Yeah. Well, actually, I tried to play for Mexico during that time. So
Mhm.
I went over to Mexico. Ricardo Santos was the coach. He just got hired as the Mexico coach. So I asked Nick, like, what should I do? Should I try for USA? Should I go try for Mexico? He was like, try Mexico. Ricardo's an awesome coach. Like, obviously there's way less depth there. So I went over to Mexico. I tried out. I made the team. And then I went back probably a month later, which they allowed me to do as a volunteer assistant. Obviously, they had Nick and Brooke like kind of handling the charge during the off season. And then, yeah, I went back. I trained there for about a month in some pretty like tough conditions. Honestly, I didn't love it that much. But they were like, we were leaving a week later to go to Norseca, and they were like, all right, send me your passport. And I was like, okay. I sent them my passport. They're like, your Mexican passport. I'm like, pause. I told you guys I didn't have a Mexican passport. Like the citizenship needed to be figured out like while I was here. Like we had already talked about it.
Right.
And so that obviously like took a while to kind of figure out. And during that process, I was like, you know what? Like I don't think I can live here, like not specifically in Mexico, but just like where I was living in Mexico. It was just not, I didn't see myself reaching my like athletic goals there. So I was just like,
Hmm.
I just go the USA route and just like just like try to do it. Like let's just see
Yeah.
what happens. If I actually can have all the resources I need and I feel safe and I have like, the coaches that and Ricardo was amazing, but just like coaches that know me and like can speak English to me. Like let's see what happens if I get that. So I
Yeah.
ended up not going that route and I came back to Florida State to coach, and they were great. They like totally allowed me to go over there, which I didn't know if I wanted to play or I wanted to
Hmm.
just coach because I had just got my master's in athletic coaching. So I was just like up in the air. Like
Right.
I wanted to be like the Florida State head coach at one point, and it was just
Hmm.
like I had to put my time in, but I also like really wanted to play. Like, is this something I could come back to? But I was like, I just came off this like crazy win like 5 months ago. Like I can't just try. So
Right.
yeah. So then yeah, I just ended up coming back to Florida State, and then I think in the spring semester, Jason Lockhead, who was another coach at Florida
Assistant.
State, he called
Yep.
me. He's like, I need a player for my New Zealand tour, one of my New Zealand tour blockers. And like, I know you're in a volunteer position. Like, do you think Brooke and Nick will let you come? And so I was like, I was at that time I was sharing an office with Nick, and I was like, oh God, here we go. Like, like, is he gonna let me like leave again and during season, if that? But
Hmm.
it was a volunteer position, and I was just like honestly offering help. It wasn't paid, and so it was like also like my right to kind of go like see like do things if I could. And like obviously I wanted that job later on, but it wasn't something like I had on like in professional sports you only have a certain timeline, so you can't really
Yeah.
waste if this is something you like might want to do. So I asked them, they said yes, they were extremely supportive of me doing it. They said totally go. And so I ended up going to play with Liv McDonald, who is one of my great friends now, and she also plays on the world tour. She's at the Queen of the Court in Hamburg right now. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, she's
Or Australia or New Zealand? Because I thought I saw a McDonald with. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's where I met her, and I met up with one of my old teammates who was the New Zealand ones at the time, Alice Seaman, and just like just spending a couple weeks with them in New Zealand. Obviously, it's a perfect place. Like you
Yeah.
can't. There's nothing like it really is. Like if anybody has the chance to visit, absolutely go. But they were like, you can absolutely play world tour. Like you're good enough. You're not like you're not seasoned on tour yet. Like you just have to kind of like break your way in slowly but surely, and like just trust that you like eventually get there. But like you're absolutely capable of being like a good player on tour. And
Yeah.
I didn't know at that time. Like I truly was just like just coming out of college where it was kind of all set up for me, especially at Florida State. It's like you get off the court and you have like your snack bag ready for you. Like I was like I was so new to the pro world. It was kind of like do it all on your own. And I didn't know if I was going to be like capable of managing a whole schedule and like how to get coaches, like how to pay
Hmm.
coaches, like the whole thing that comes with being a professional beach volleyball player. It's a lot. And so they kind of just like gave me that confidence to be like, just go for it, just try it. And so I finished out the season with Florida State once I came back, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to California and be in the USA developmental group and see what kind of happens there. So
And that
that's
was
what I did.
2023, correct?
That was 2023, yeah.
Well, that actually segues into our next part of our interview here. But you pulled off a bunch of top nine finishes and actually got first place at Wapaka that year with Kylie DeBerg. That had to be some, I mean, those are some great results considering that you didn't even consider doing that the previous year.
Yeah, I mean, I like Kylie was pretty new at that time too. I think she had maybe one or two. I think that was her first year at LSU, the year that she graduated. So we were both pretty raw and like new to the scene. But I mean, Kylie's a gamer. Like she's just like me. it was super fun playing with her. That was my first time that I was like strictly a defender and not blocking, because
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember with Mads, but I was running up during national championships. So
Yep.
like that was a huge adjustment for me, just like only being a defender and not being able to like pull and do all the things I was good at during
Hmm.
college. So yeah, huge learning curve year for me, definitely. But I loved playing with Kylie. She was great. She obviously is a huge block. So like points I felt like I didn't even need to be there.
Well, actually, you're saying that, playing with Kylie, you had that success, but 24 and 25, saw more top five finishes this time on the AVP and the Pro Beach Tour. Um, you know, with you going into your second and third seasons, what were your thoughts as far as the successes you're having? Is that wanting you pursue even more and be more committed to playing professionally?
Yeah, I mean, with Kylie, we did I think we did one international event and then the rest were AVPs and we had success. And then I wanted to go back to the international tour. So we went back to Mariah and I went to New Zealand and then Australia. And then we finished in the Philippines and we had some really good finishes there, like at all three stops. And then came back and then played some AVP. We did okay. And then my sister was coming off of her season. She just finished.
Hmm.
And that was always a dream of ours to like play together. So then I ended up teaming up with my sister at the end of that year, and then we just kind of took off with it. Like we kind of hit the same schedule where it was like the New Zealand futures, New Zealand or Australia futures and Thailand futures, and we
Hmm.
won two of those and then got third at the other. Um, but it kind of stacked like really good finishes around people that kind of started where I started, which I felt like
Hmm.
she needed to also get that confidence from people that she knew and she trusted, which gave me like the confidence enough to go for it. So
Hmm.
that was like my New Zealand crew, which my New Zealand crew has been like my bread and butter on tour. Like they are just always people that just instill that confidence in me and they're just the best. So I wanted that from Morgan. And so when she came on tour, we did the same route. And we weren't trying to, just go straight to challengers. We had no experience like playing beach together really because we didn't get
Hmm.
paired up in college. So yeah, it was a perfect little path for us. And then we took a little training block in June and July, which is usually like the heaviest time of year to do tournaments and stuff. But we were like just not on the same page with some of our system stuff for beach, and we didn't have
Hmm.
a coach at that time. And then during our training block, we worked with Jake McNeil, who's my current coach, and he kind of
Hmm.
figured out all of our problems that we were having. And then towards the end of that year, we did Veracruz, Newport Elite, and then the Philippines. And yeah,
And the
very,
Philippines is the first place.
yeah, yeah.
Well, which is amazing hearing that story with Morgan, because I actually was going into one tournament that's not really on the radar for BVB info, but it was the Hermosa Beach Open, which got to
Mm,
see you and Morgan play, and
yeah.
you two were so impressive playing against not only the top US teams, but some international teams that were sprinkled into that draw. And I was like, wow, realizing that you hadn't played that long together, you guys look like you dialed in. That's why I'm surprised to hear, you were working some things out with Jake McNeil. I'm like, to me, you guys look like you guys were playing together. I just assumed that being
Well, that
sisters.
I think that tournament actually was after. I think because that one's in September, so that would have been after our training block. So we had ironed out some things then. But yeah, we were super stoked to be on the court together. We always like we loved it. We loved it. We had some sister moments, but God, if anybody can tell me that they've never been in a fight with their sister while playing beach volleyball, like I wouldn't believe. I don't believe you. So
That's the quotable I have to throw on there.
yeah. But like also in that we had with those lows, we had such high highs of like overcoming just like years of, communication stuff that we just like had to dial in or just like how I can support her better and all those like those really deep things that like are just there within a relationship times like 100 because now you're partners. So when we did work those things out and we did overcome them and we did have these big wins, like it just felt like super high. Like we were
Mhm.
like, okay, we just like worked through some really serious stuff. So once we overcame that, like it was nobody was stopping us. It was us if we were going to be stopped.
Yeah. Well, you and Morgan saw even more success on AVPs and FIVBs in 2025. In fact, let's see. So let me make sure my timeline's right. But you ended up finishing off the AVP season with the AVP Laguna Open
Mhm.
and played in the championship match. But, you know, working on the mic, I only got to see so much of your play. But what I could see is you guys look really solid together, like perfect in step. And you were taking down some really good teams. But do you feel like that there's like the growth was what you expected it to be, or would it exceed your expectations?
I mean, yeah, I mean it's tough to say. I feel like we always want to win. Obviously, it was a bummer that we didn't win that one, but I think we were both battling some like crazy food poisoning, so it was just like it was okay that we didn't win, but we put in so much hard work with each other and
Hmm.
on and off the court. And so when we did have that success, like we felt that we did overachieve because we were just doing so many tough things together. So
Yeah,
I would say that we were really proud of how we finished and really like proud of our entire season.
yeah. Well, it was a great finish of 2025, I believe. So were the Beach Pro Tour events before or after the Laguna Open? I didn't get the date down because I realized
We
that
did
you got.
Veracruz, and then we did the Newport Elite, and then we did the Philippines. So Veracruz, we ended up finishing ninth, and we lost to the Paklova sisters.
Mhm.
Um, Good team, really good team. They just did well in Ostrava, and then we got ninth in Newport, which we ended up losing to Kristen and Taryn, and we lost to the Clingers, I think, in three, and then we lost to Lexi and Julia in three. So we were like, you know what, those are some good losses if we're gonna lose, like
Yeah.
fight.
Well,
So
with
yeah,
that, that's you had a great partner, and I say had because you're going to become an auntie. Morgan
yeah,
is pregnant with her first. Congratulations, Auntie Alaina. Sounds all right. Actually, has a good ring to it.
it does. I love it. I'm excited for my new role. I cannot wait. We're within literally like 5 days at this point. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, so you had to find a new partner. Like, did you know you were going to come back and play even with Morgan with child now? Was that in the plan to find another partner? And
Yeah, it was. So actually, the tournament I didn't mention at the end of that year with Philippines, that's when we kind of found out that she was pregnant. Morgan hit a ball like 30 feet out and just looked at me like, I don't feel like I'm in my body. Like, I don't know what's going on. So that's when we, found out that she was pregnant while we were in the Philippines and we lost our matches and then got the hell out of there. So
yeah.
came home and the whole time I was like, you know what, I'm moving to Florida. I'm gonna be with you by your side because at the time I had lived in California with Sav
Hmm.
and Morgan was kind of in Florida by herself. And so whenever we would train, I would come to Florida, but I didn't want to be that far away from her. And I have my boyfriend in California, but we can do long distance. I got to be there for my sister while she's going through this. I mean, we've done everything together our entire lives, college, like just growing up in general. Like I've never not been there for something like this big, and there was no
Yeah.
way I could just see it through a screen across the country. So I moved my stuff from California to Florida in January, and I've been in St. Pete, Tampa area ever since. So now we
Well,
live in the same house. She's right across the hall, hopefully not listening to this podcast right now, but
well, if she wants to jump on, we'll always take her on.
I'm sure she would say no because she's just uncomfortable at the moment.
And unofficially, if you need extra eyes on your boyfriend, we found out before jumping on here that I can watch him closely. So
Thanks.
we'll, we'll,
Perfect.
we'll talk about that a little bit later. Um, but so I love, the what it started this idea of me and trying to having you on the podcast is because you and Maddie made some amazing news this last week. And actually, you made news a few weeks ago when you qualified for the AVP League in its second season here in the final qualifier in Manhattan Beach. And, I hear the chatter, didn't get to watch it all, but the chatter was you guys dominated everyone without dropping a set through that qualifier.
Oh, yeah, it's a qualifier. Yeah. Um, yeah, so ended up I moved to Florida and Maddie needs a partner. So then we team up and it was perfect because
How did that text go? Hey, you want to play ball together? Or,
I actually had to beg Maddie to be my partner.
you begged her?
Yeah, there's all this talk that, in beach volleyball, you have to like slide into their DMs. Well, I was in Maddie's text messages being like, hey, I know Brooke's taking some time off. Like, do you need a partner? And she's like, yeah, well, I'm talking to Kim right now and I'm talking to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. Well, her and Kim go off to get, I think, like a seventh or ninth. I don't know. They did really well in that like Elite 16 at the end of the year last year. But then Brooke or Kim ends up telling her that she's pregnant. And I'm like, perfect. But then yeah, Maddie was like, well, maybe you could like fly out here in January to play this like SSOVA like Florida tournament. And I'm like, Maddie, like, come on, we're gonna have practices to do this. I can't move out here before or fly out here before I move. Yada yada. She ends up being like, okay. And then she texts me like later on is like, okay, I'm ready to just like lock it in. Let's just do it. So I had to work on Maddie. I had to work on her. She didn't want me first, but it's fine.
Well, joke's on her now because you guys did get on the radar, the AVP. And I
Yeah.
mean, you ended up playing this last weekend in Belmar, New Jersey, and I watched all that. I mean, I couldn't help but watch and see. I met Maddie in her juniors when she's playing with Caitlin Moon as her partner, which is another former Florida Stater. And
Yes.
following all these girls to their collegiate careers, I'm like just excited to see the success they have after their college careers. But um,
Yeah.
fantastic win these week.
Sorry. Go ahead. I skipped over a question. I forgot about the qualifier.
Oh yeah, so go
Sorry, I
ahead.
forgot about the qualifier. Yeah, the qualifier. Well, the first one we got beat by Kelly and Beg, and we always say if we're gonna lose, we better lose to the winners. So we lost to the winners, and we were like, okay, what can we learn? We learned, and then we had that second week where that was our second qualifier, which ended up being the third qualifier in total. But
Hmm.
yeah, we played 4 matches that day. I think our toughest match, to be honest, looking back, was one of our first matches against Tori Van Winden because she knows me so well. And I was like, they're
Hmm.
gonna serve me every ball, every single ball. And I know she just knows me so well. But we stuck that one out. And then yeah, we just kind of like I don't even know what happened that day. We were just on a like in our own world. We didn't put any pressure on ourselves going into the AVP qualifier. Like when we aligned our goals at the beginning of the season, we typed out all of them together. And AVP initially wasn't necessarily on them. Like we wanted to do
Hmm.
every world tour stop we possibly could. We both love traveling. We both love being on the road. And I just feel like from the very beginning, it wasn't like we need to be a league team, which now I'm like, I always want to be a league team. Like it's so much fun.
Well,
But
I was going to ask you about that, but
yeah,
leading up to this first weekend, you guys basically were coming from the Philippines, I believe, which you just got a second place on that Pro Beach Tour event in Nuvali, and
yeah,
you actually got a fifth and a third in Nayarit and Xiamen, China. So you and
yeah.
Maddie have been playing extremely well on an international level.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a really good talk with our mental performance coach and he was like, "Well, what are all the good teams doing at?" He's like, "What's your guys' goal?" And we're like, "Obviously to medal." And he's like, "Yeah, but what are all these like other like cuz you guys are playing different level tournaments all the time. Like what's your goal at every tournament? Like let's just talk world tour." And then we're like, "Okay, well, all what are all these teams that are medaling or doing well doing?" And we were like, they're at least making the quarters or the semis. And so our goal is always semis, and then
Hmm.
like then it's house money. So
Hmm.
in China, it was funny because at the beginning of the season we were stoked on our third and we were like, this is awesome, we were pumped. And then when we got
Hmm.
to China, we were like, this isn't even a good to us. We were like had this weird moment where we're like, this isn't a good finish for us. Like we didn't hit our semis goal, but we are like,
Hmm.
you know what? Like still a good finish. We're stacking consistent results, which is the goal within the like semifinals response in the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
our meeting. So yeah, we're really proud of how we're doing so far, and we're really proud of the consistency that's happening throughout our season. So the work is really stacking up for us, and then we're Showtime girls. We love the moment, we love the pressure. So it was
Well,
pretty.
like breaking down the tournaments that you didn't do so well, and I look at who you played, I'm like, you're playing Olympians. So,
And then
and you're losing three.
in China, when we lost in the quarterfinals, we lost to the winners. So if we lose, we're gonna lose to the winners. Is our goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at the Paraguayans, which were college players in the States, and was it Juliana Corrales and Michelle Valiente?
Yep.
Obviously LMU's. So some
And we
familiar
played bad that
faces.
match. We played bad, but that's another mental performance note just for anybody watching. Is just like sometimes your 80% is good enough, and like you don't have to play perfect to beat all the teams. Like you just have to play your 80%. And so
Yeah.
that's really what we did that game. Like it was not pretty. If anybody were to watch that match, like it was not good, but we
Yeah.
pulled it.
Well, back to the Belmar in Jersey this last weekend. Night one, you're representing the LA launch, which I think is the funniest thing because you guys are both Florida girls and
Yeah.
you're representing LA, but I can jump on the LA launch girls here.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you
mean, I'm stoked
defeated.
that we're with Hagen and Logan. Like we could be paired up with like, you know, an older team or which like no shade, but it's nice to be it's nice to be with guys our age
Phil,
and
no shade. Phil, no shade.
but it's I mean, go say Phil. I would be stoked to be on Phil's team, but that like Hagen has so much personality. Like I love watching
Yeah.
Hagen. And they just complement each other so well, and it's like just so much fun being on their sideline. And we could just after we play, we get to cheer for them. So if I'm gonna cheer for anybody, like let me cheer for an entertainer. I want to
Yeah,
be there for the entertainment. So
for sure. But
yeah,
in that first match against San Diego Smash, you defeated Megan Rice and Jenny Urango, and man, not walkover. There's not a single walkover match, but took the first was at 15, 17, 7 and 16, 3 set match. Um, but you guys were able to pull it out in the end in that third set.
yeah. I think I read this article. I think you sent it to me by Larry Himmel, and my stats were horrible, like horrible. If I could pull them up right now, I would, but I think it was something like I made like 6 serving errors and like I hit 220 and I had like 50 attempts and I only was successful on 21. Like on paper, we really shouldn't have pulled that out. But
Mhm.
the wind was such a factor that game. It was just like an even level playing field. And so we actually switched to the bad side at the end of that game and earned 3 points. So
Mhm.
somehow God willing, we pulled that out, and it was just magic. I don't know. I don't know how we did that, but we put our heads down and we were like, you know what, we can do it, and we did. And I think we had a timeout before the last point, and Maddie said, I asked Maddie, I was like, what was your mentality on like the point 14 to win the game? And she was like, 1 point for 1K. Like, okay, that's awesome. Like, get your bag. If that's what it takes, like, get your bag.
Jeez. Well, that was only night one. You had to go for a repeat performance on night two against the New York Nitros. You had Tony Rodriguez and Molly Shaw. 15, 14, 15, another tight one. And you guys pulled it out. Same conditions, or what was the mindset of you two to pull that one out?
Um, I think less wind that time, but we actually heard in the third set that it was like the longest ever AVP third set, which we had been in like a moment like that earlier this year in Brasilia, where we had a match that went 31-33 or something crazy like
Wow.
that in the third against a Brazil team on center court. So and that was the third set. So obviously like the
32-30. I just pulled it up and it is against Toledo and Tunis. And oh, a very good team at that.
Yeah. So we have been in these moments throughout our season, even though we haven't been trying to be in these like really crazy third match sets. And
Mhm.
we're not shy of the moment at this point. We're like, we've been here before. And when we
Mhm.
heard that, and when I heard that, I was specifically like, all right, like it's got to go our way this time. It's got to go our way. So we were just fighting through it. Like every point was a grind, and obviously some went our way, some didn't, but we were just at no point was like, okay, they got us and we're done.
Mhm.
Like it's just like finish this game. So yeah, I'm super proud that we ended up pulling that one out. But yeah, it was just head down. We've been here before. We got
Mhm.
to finish.
Well, let me ask you this, because the format, if people haven't been watching the league, is not first two to 21, if a third set tiebreak to 15, it's all three to 15. But I wanted to ask you, was it a hard transition playing that format for you and Maddie, being that you guys have been playing in BBTs and the other AVP, Heritage and Contender Series?
Honestly, I thought it's more weird to see it as like somebody that follows volleyball to be like, this is like, is this how you're gonna play like your league with like your best teams? But honestly, it's like such a heightened version of like of volleyball. So it's like your game plan has to be kind of like a little bit lighter where you're like, I don't have 21 points or however many points to figure this out. It's like
Hmm.
you gotta be great in serve receive, and then like you have to execute your chances on defense like faster, and it's just a more efficient game of volleyball. Like
Hmm.
it's whoever finds their flow first, and that to me, like I'm a very rhythmic player, so like I don't mind it, but I don't I feel like when I wasn't in the league and I was just watching, I was always questioning like, like is this like the best way to do this? But I feel like I had all my highlight moments, and like everybody
Hmm.
else had their highlight moments within that frame, and I get what they're doing with the league like from that, and it has to fit in a certain like time.
Time block. Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, like and our game ended up going longer, and if you're side out for side out, like it will end up doing that like naturally. So honestly, uh it did feel weird just playing one game. That was the weirdest part. It was like there wasn't like it was one game a day. That's the
Yeah.
weirdest part going like world tour to this. It's like you have only one. Even the qualifier, like we played four of these games in one day. And
Oh,
now it's just
wow.
like we show up in the weekend and it's just like one set a day. That's all you got to do. So
Wow. Well, it was a great performance by you guys nonetheless. I mean, obviously all the teams have these phenomenal athletes, and and it's just showing that you guys are, as you pointed out, Larry Hamill had written, quite the performance by you guys. And I think that's the chatter on the street is, wow, Maddie and Alaina, better keep your eye on these two. So,
we're just excited for the outfit walkouts. So that's what we're most
nice.
yeah, obviously it's really cool to be a part of the league, and it's cool to have like another men's team that you're actually cheering for. I feel like we don't obviously have the opportunity to like really stick by, like team up and like stick by one another. So that part's really fun. It's giving like high school volleyball when you're like cheering for each other, um, or college even. But yeah, that part's really fun. That's a part that I haven't like been familiar with in a long time, but it's like you're cheering for your team, and that's a part in college and in high school that I really loved. So it's very
Yeah.
cool.
So I didn't get to look ahead on the schedule, but what's the next event for the LA launch then?
We play Vegas in a couple weeks, and then we play in LA, and then we go to Dallas, and then we go to Chicago.
Wow. Exciting times. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I think this is one of the teams to watch this season. You come out of the weekend 2-0 and a lot of hard fought matches across the board with all the teams that were there. But I, if if you aren't watching the league, you need to jump on there because it's a great format. It's really exciting to watch. And with the shortened format, as Alaina was saying, you got to take care of business early. There ain't no mucking around, if you know what I mean.
Better wake up. And I saw some crazy stat that like 560,000 people watched it on CBS, which is pretty sick.
Oh,
That's
you
pretty
know what? I was trying to find that stat while you were explaining your thing, because that's a great figure. Um, the is it what was it playing on? Was it ESPN? I know that they've looked at other partners
One
now.
was on CW, and then one was on CBS. And I always, since being actually like in the league and like seeing all the comments like, like I wish you would just choose one network. Like I also as a viewer was like, you should just choose one network. But I do get that like if we're ever gonna get TV time, like we kind of have to we have a lot on this a lot on this section and a lot on this section. And then we obviously will have YouTube in a week after the exclusivity rights go away. So, I like, obviously it sucks if you miss out, but like try to stay in tune with like what's going on, follow AVP and follow like the players because they're posting about it. But like, if we're ever going to get some TV time, like we're going to have like a limited lot here and there. So just try to stay up.
And they're posted on the AVP's YouTube app. Like I think there's an 8-day blackout period, but you can always watch it on there. Follow the AVP social, follow the players social, because especially with my passion for volleyball, the men's national championship, they had just under 150,000 viewers, which is actually an 80% growth from the year before. The women's collegiate beach championship's got 500,000 viewers. And now the league is right there in that same ballpark. And we got to keep this game growing because there's some intense player missing out on it if you're not following what's going on in the AVP League. So,
sure.
But, I was excited to see the result and looking forward to what happens the rest of season 3. But I wanted to give you a chance to make a plug for they're an okay family, the Briggs family, because you're part of the vision for one of their projects. And like I said, I can keep an eye on a certain Briggs family member I found out just before our conversation. But I know you're going to be doing some stuff with them this summer to help them out. But can you explain what project you're a part of?
Well, I'm not necessarily a part of it, but Trevor is my boyfriend and he is the co-founder of Rapid Volleyball, which is it's an app and it's amazing. It's basically an online training for anybody that wants to like learn volleyball or progress their skills. And they've had some serious athletes sign up to be part of it, like TJ DeFalco, Miles Spartain. And it's you basically go in and like, do I want to do ball control? Do I want to do serving? Do I want to work on passing, setting? Any skill you can in volleyball you can think of, you can pick and choose, and it will allot a lesson for you and like basically count your reps for whatever you want to work on. So it's awesome. It basically came out of a conversation Trevor and I were having one day where we both coach private volleyball, and he and I both came to each other, asking like, all my players are always asking me like, what can I do at home? And he's like, me too. And so he got to work, and like him and Mason created this idea of Rapid Volleyball, where it basically like brings a really high level athlete kind of like through a phone, but they're amazing tutorials on like how to work on your skills at home. So I'm excited for them. They've got some big time plans for it and big time investors, and they're going to crush it. I'm excited for them.
Yeah. And in case you're wondering, Mason Briggs is part of that. He's on the USA men's national team. Got to give them a plug as well. And Dina, my favorite Southern California traffic driver, and likes to step around homeless people. That's a little joke. Dina, I know you're listening and watching. So, but I forgot to throw one little tidbit in there. I want you to explain why honey badgers are so symbolic in your family.
Even my dad just created this. I don't even know. My dad, like the honey badger, it just like never stops fighting, I think, and never gives up and just like puts up a tough fight. So I think that's why Rob and my dad both will comment honey badger on my photos and stuff. But
Well, I'll tell you the video he sent me explaining why a honey badger. I'm like, it's not really family friendly, but it is hilarious nonetheless. I'm like, I can see why he would think that you and Savannah and Morgan are honey badgers, because they're literally one of the smallest animals, but they're the fiercest in the animal kingdom. Like they don't back down from fights. So I'm like, I can see that from you guys.
yeah, I get the metaphor, 100%.
So with that, this is Alaina Chacon and of Florida State and of the AVP and Beach Pro Tour, but also partner with Maddie Anderson with that Florida State connection. Always been following the career and doing some great things, and looking forward to what you do here in the upcoming weeks with the league and competing internationally. So I appreciate you coming on. I know it's a little longer than I anticipated, but such great stuff you had, Alaina. So I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Oh, wait, final question. Where can they follow what you're doing?
At Alaina Chacon on all platforms.
All right. Easy enough. All right. Thank you again, Alaina.
Thanks for listening to the Viral Volley Podcast. Be sure to follow Rob on Instagram at the Rob on the Mic or on Twitter at Rob on the Mic.